Section 11.5 is called Probability with the Fundamental Counting Principle, Permutations and Combinations. Honestly, this section is a little bit trickier because it is combining all of those counting principles, all that counting stuff inside a probability question. It's a good review, though, of what we've done up to this point. So jumping into our first example, it says that Martha, Lee, Nancy, Paul, and Armando have all been invited to a dinner party. They arrive randomly at different times. Find the probability that Martha will arrive first and Armando last. So essentially this is a probability question, which means most likely my final answer will be a fraction, because with probability your answer should always be between 0 and 1. So let's go ahead and just jot down a game plan here. With any type of probability, well, with most types anyway, that we've encountered up until this point, what we want, in other words, what the question is asking us for, we divide that by the grand total. So keeping that in mind, what do we want? Well, it's asking us for Martha to arrive first and Armando last. So to get that numerator, we're going to have to figure out how many ways Martha can arrive first. Martha arrives first and Armando last. So whatever the question's asking you for, we got to count that for the numerator. Divide by the grand total. So what are we generally talking about? We're talking about how many different ways these people can arrive to a dinner party. So just the total number of ways all the people, I'll just write they, can arrive to that dinner party. So equals, let's start by thinking about the numerator. When we began chapter 11 and we talked about counting, it is counting because it says how many. If Martha has to come first and Armando last, well, those are restrictions. So there were, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different people we're talking about that were invited to this party. Martha, Lee, Nancy, Paul, and Armando. So we would have taken the 5 people minus the restrictions. Well, there are 2 restrictions, Martha coming first and Armando coming last, which gives us 3, because 5 minus 2, obviously 3. And the remaining people, to count the number of ways that they can arrive in between Martha and Armando, gets a factorial. This was discussed in the very first video in chapter 11. Divide by the total number of ways they can arrive. Well, if I'm just counting up all the ways they can arrive, there's no restrictions. There are, again, 5 total people, Martha, Lee, Nancy, Paul, and Armando, and it gets a factorial. So whenever we were rearranging everybody, factorial. Whenever there were restrictions, we subtracted the restrictions from the total number of people, and the remaining number got a factorial. So really, I'm going to do 3 factorial divided by 5 factorial. 3 factorial, hopefully you're trying this on the graphing calculator to practice where that button is located at for factorial. If not, you would just do 3 times 2 times 1, which does give you 6. Bring over your fraction bar, now 5 factorial, in other words 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. When you try that in the calculator, you get 120. We should always have a simplified answer. So let's simplify our fraction. You can do it in your head, or you could type in 6 divided by 120, math button, enter, enter, and you will see that it does in fact simplify to 1/20. Final answer, 1/20. taking a look at our next example, it says a club consists of 6 men and 4 women. 3 members are selected at random to attend a conference. Find the probability that the selected group consists of 2 men and 1 woman. I circled the word probability, so that tells us that at the end of this question, our final answer will be a fraction answer most likely, or at the very least, something between 0 and 1. Since I'm only rearranging some of the whole, I'm only picking out 2 guys out of 6, and I'm only selecting 1 woman out of 4, that tells me that this question is going to either involve the NCR button or the NPR button. To determine which of the 2 strategies to implement, we ask ourselves if order matters. There's no advantage or disadvantage to being selected first because you're just going to a conference. You're going to go to the same conference regardless. It's not like they're competing for president and secretary or some titles or something like that. So we're only rearranging a few of the whole, a subset of the whole. Order does not matter, so that means this is a combination question, which is the NCR button. So putting it together, probability meant fraction. I'm going to draw my fraction bar, and it's what we want. Divide by grand total for probability. They tell us what we want, what we're looking for. We're looking for a group with 2 men and 1 woman. So group of 2 men and 1 female. In the denominator, we divide by the grand total, which is going to simply be the grand total number of ways that you could pick any combination of 3 people. We're picking 3 members. So group of 3. Okay, so starting with the numerator, we're going to choose 2 men and 1 woman. So keeping like with like, there were 6 total guys, so I'm going to do 6 choosing, so 6 combination, choosing 2. We multiply whenever we're counting stuff, so times. Now with the women, there were 4 women, so 4 choosing 1. Remember, the bigger number with these pairings always has to come first to get the right answer. So I put the 6 before the 2, and I put the 4 before the 1 in that calculator. Divided by the grand total. The grand total was just any group of 3. How many total people were there? Well, if there were 6 men plus the 4 women, there were originally 10 total people. So there's 10 total people, and I'm choosing 3. Now we just got to type this into the calculator. I would start with the numerator. So go ahead and type in 6, choose 2, times 4, choose 1. Keep in mind you're going to use the math button. Go over to PRB for the NCR feature. After you're done multiplying, you should be getting 60 in the numerator. 60. Here, I'm going to write that 6 a little bit nicer. Bring down the fraction bar. Now try typing in the denominator 10 NCR 3. So 10, math, PRB, choose NCR. Then the 3, enter. If you do it correctly, you should get 120. So now 60 divided by 120, reduce it. If you're doing it in the calculator, math button, enter twice to reduce a fraction. And this one will reduce to a final answer of 1/2.